Welcome, acolytes. There is some drama. Honestly, I just didn't expect this. That BetterHelp would be somehow in a negative light. I mean, BetterHelp lost 97% in 3 years. What happened? What the actual freak? But we're gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. Let's just see. By the way, it's made by Logically Answered. His video is always linked down. Let's start.
BetterHelp is one of the biggest YouTube sponsors of the past decade. And
Yep, it is. I mean, I heard it a lot of the times. I didn't even see that that it stopped sponsoring this many YouTubers, but it was always there, always.
and was exposed for exploiting vulnerable users, using unqualified therapists, and selling sensitive user data. It's
Ooh, ooh, ooh. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I don't give a shit about the data selling, or I give less of a shit about it because your data is already out there. If you've been you can protect it as you want. Just try to do it as far as you can, but it's gonna happen at one point or the another. But that they actually didn't have therapists there, that's shitty. That's just that's bad.
seemed like the scandal was the end of them, with tens of thousands of users unsubscribing, hundreds of angry comments on videos sponsored by BetterHelp.
But that doesn't require their therapist to be licensed. They have not changed and are still actively traumatized, depressed people to not use BetterHelp. You know what happens to see this? There has been dead reputation, of course. Okay, wow.
And they're
I'm gonna be honest, this is freaking bad. If you go to a service like BetterHelp, a subscription service nonetheless, and you just cut it off like that, like you cut off the professionality out of it, you should die. Or die out, let's just say it like that. No.
parent company stock crashing 97%. But now they're back, sponsoring more creators than ever. But are they actually better?
Yeah, I don't know. If it's, I'm gonna be honest, it's pretty, to me, it's pretty simple. If you actually get the licenses, you get professionals on there, it's fine. But it probably won't happen. That's the problem with it.
Anxiety, depression, and many other mental health disorders are huge challenges for many.
Yep.
Not only that, but
To this day, it actually gets underestimated pretty heavily. And yes, I sound sad because I am
they've been on the rise for some time. Yet, simultaneously, traditional therapy is inaccessible to many people.
Yep, because it's expensive as fuck. And I mean, gonna be honest, it is affordable if you do the correct thing, but also you can get just a total asshole that doesn't care about yourself and tries to push his agenda onto you. Like, that's bullshit, come on. As a therapist, you should be neutral.
It's expensive, it requires physical presence, and is frankly just less flexible than what online services usually offer.
That's correct.
where BetterHelp came in. They launched in 2013 and they seemed like a game changer. Patients signed up and were matched with a therapist and had sessions via call, text, video, whichever they were most comfortable with. If they didn't connect with their therapist, they could be matched to a new one. No cost, no hassle.
I'm gonna be honest, this is you need a lot of therapists for that. And yes, nobody will be like, there isn't a chance in hell that that everybody likes the therapist. That's just what happened. But you should still have someone as a different access point. This was actually quite a good thing, I think, because at the end of the day, yes, you don't like every person you're against.
Not only that, but it was cheaper than most traditional practices, meaning that therapy was now far more accessible to those who needed it, which is great. Over the coming years, BetterHelp started building momentum. By 2018, they were sponsoring thousands of YouTubers, and the company exploded in popularity. The pandemic had confined everyone.
Yeah.
indoors, and demand for remote therapy was at an all-time high.
Yep.
BetterHelp naturally capitalized on this opportunity by spending more
As they should, by the way. I don't think that this was a mistake. This should have happened. This was okay. I mean, especially because they, from what I heard, they helped a lot of people.
than $7 million on podcast sponsorships in December of 2020 alone. They spent $38.7 million in total for 2020, making them the highest spender on podcasts.
Damn.
But during BetterHelp's rise, the cracks slowly began to appear. Firstly, users started reporting some strange experiences with their platform, many of which had a common theme.
My first therapist was 10 minutes late to our 10-minute meeting, our first.
That's maybe a red flag, but I mean, if you have I see it like this: if you have someone different that is a hard case, and you come too late to something that's maybe a bit something different, I understand that it's still a red flag, but I wouldn't say that that's the worst of the worst.
Initial meeting, and then she was like, "Oh wow, we don't have a lot of time."
Okay. That's bad.
And then she kept trying to sell me her book. So I contacted them and I got a different therapist. He was...
As you should. And you also should say, hey, she came too late. She said this and this, and she tried to sell me her book instead of actually helping me. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you have a really good book that actually could help someone, that's a different thing, but you...
also late and just...
10-minute session, you're too late, then you're saying something, oh, we don't have a lot of time. No, that's not a... damn.
Completely missed our first meeting. We set a second one, he missed that one, and then he just texted like, oh man, I'm so sorry, I was at my other job. And I was just like, what the
The quality of therapists varied wildly. Some saw their therapist cooking or shopping mid-session, which naturally makes patients feel uncomfortable. One patient...
I will agree with that, yes, but also with a service like this, I'm gonna be honest, I expect something like that. Because I heard from some people that I know that their therapist was just cooking, by the way, or just eating, and the therapist just, when they were asked, the therapist just simply said, we're under such giant time pressure, and I couldn't help every single one of the people that are there if I just didn't do the things like cooking, like something, or just working on the laptop. If I didn't, okay, I understand that it just maybe that the therapist actually doesn't hear you. That's a point of, yeah, I can understand that, but most of the people that I interacted with were like, no, after the explanation they understood it, and they still got well from it. So yeah.
Patient, after discussing career goals, had her therapist send her a patronizing YouTube video to watch after their session that told her, it's natural to want to do big things, even if it's never going to happen for you. Another patient had the therapist encourage
the fuck? That's... I think that BetterHelp just didn't have therapists. Like, what is that? What does that even mean? It's good to think about bigger things. I mean, don't get me wrong. You won't always get the things you want. You won't always reach the goals you reach. That's a fact. But I think my explanation right now is better than, well, you can dream about big things, but don't be angry because you don't... Come on. The fuck?
them to put their baby up for adoption because their friend really wanted a baby. One Reddit user shared a horrifying experience. He implied that his life was almost perfect and that I should be like him.
Okay.
At a certain moment, he wanted to imply I had signs of narcissism in me, and having suffered from narcissistic abuse pretty much my whole life, that was very hard to hear.
I'm gonna be honest, I had to see the entire thing because... okay, his life was almost perfect and that I should be like him. That's something you don't wanna say. I mean, except the patient maybe was like, but you have everything done in a correct way. How did you do it? And you explained to him. And even those words are just... A certain moment he went implied I had signs of narcissism in me. I mean, a narcissistic person would take that as an insult. And if you get abused by narcissistic people, well, I mean, then it's bad. You shouldn't. But at the end of the day, you could also get some things out of the... Like, you copy people you actually interact with to some degree, so maybe there's something right there.
I had never felt this unsafe with a therapist before. He admitted himself to being a narcissist.
Oh, come on, okay, if this therapist actually exists and he admitted to that, that's not a therapist. I'm gonna be... I don't even believe that this person actually exists, because no narcissist would admit that they are a narcissist, because that would just... They would actually get a bit of responsibility to themselves. They would grab the responsibility and see, oh no, I'm the one that's actually wrong. So a narcissist would never admit that. Never ever.
I couldn't stop crying, and every time I tried to say something, I would cry even more. He then said, now you have 1 minute to share your final thoughts before our time is over. Thankfully, this user received the therapy they needed outside of BetterHelp.
Okay,
However,
good.
despite their
I mean, I just don't believe that this is such a extreme. This is such a extreme. I think that's too extreme to actually believe this story. But if it's true, damn, it's bad. If this is true, freak me, this is bad.
trauma and only using the service for less than a week, BetterHelp only refunded 50% of the month's subscription. Putting the money aside though, what the hell was going on there? How are so many BetterHelp therapists so awful? Well, as it turns out, BetterHelp employed many unqualified therapists. According to...
Yeah, if that's true, damn, that's actually quite deadly. I mean, I would never ever, actually, as an unqualified person, by the way, because I'm not qualified, I just had a lot to do with people who actually do this stuff. So even I know how to speak with people from time to time. I know how to handle them. And if you have an unqualified person like that, even if you know your shit, even if you know to a certain degree, there is so much behind the scenes you have to know. There is so much extra things that you, as someone like me, just won't ever pick up. It's just brutal. And setting in an unqualified person like that, disgusting. That's just disgusting. Okay, I wouldn't say if somebody actually betrayed them and lied about it, they didn't check. Okay, good. If you do it once, okay. But this, if about, like he shows, the graph is correct and it's about half. Damn. Like the friends that I have that actually use BetterHelp and have got lucky with their therapists, I am baffled by that. Like, I am happy for them, but I am also baffled by... I really should speak to them. I mean, actually, over Donut, they are not friends. There are people that I know, because friends are way bigger thing. But there are some people that I knew that actually used it. I really have to get contact with them and ask them, for fuck's sake.
For them, it was the patient's job to verify if the therapist was qualified.
This
Oh, no fucking way.
one says that they don't guarantee the verification of the skills, degrees, qualifications, certification, credentials, competence, or background of any counselor. With BetterHelp, you'll be talking to professionals. Just beware that it's your responsibility to determine whether they are or not.
That's fucked up. Like, I was to a certain degree defending them, but fuck me. If this is the contract, oh fuck them.
Or not. It's your responsibility to determine whether they have any degree or qualification or certification or all these things.
Once users learned of this, the controversy exploded.
Good. This is unacceptable. Oh wait, I think I'm gonna... Yeah, it's...
BetterHelp quickly removed this from their terms in 2018, but the damage had already been done.
Yeah, and it should be. I'm gonna be honest, after reading this... Oh, shoot. Yuffie, co jest? Yuficzka. Yeah, after reading... Sorry, my dog just scared me a bit. No, after hearing this, damn. Okay, good. Now I'm sitting properly. Chodź tutaj. Yeah, this is monstrous. What the fuck? How did this even... How did... Okay, I know people don't read through their contract, so...
Evidence was damning. If vulnerable patients experience horrible therapy, it can very well prevent them from getting help in the future, even from traditional practices.
My one session with a BetterHelp therapist re-traumatized me to the point where I don't know if I'll ever go back to therapy again.
Shockingly, that's not even the end of it. BetterHelp was concealing another massive problem that caught the eyes of the US government.
They're fucked. They're fucked. Damn. Oh shit. Oh shit.
Somehow, BetterHelp returned. The company has recently emerged with a wave of new YouTube sponsorships and a brand new marketing campaign. In Q3 of 2022, they sponsored 392 YouTube videos. 1 year later, they sponsored just under 2,000 videos. In March of 2024 alone, they spent $8.2 million on podcast advertising. Their marketing strategy is aggressive, as they are determined to recover their brand image and to claim back their market share. But have they improved their service? Well, their number of therapists has increased dramatically. In 2021, they had a total of 16,000 therapists, but by 2024, they have 34,000, a massive leap. What BetterHelp really needed though wasn't quantity, it was quality. BetterHelp states that it only accepts 15% of therapists who apply, but the testimonies are still concerning. In 2024, a clinical psychologist tried the...
So how the fuck, if you do that, how the fuck do you not actually control the therapist's degrees? How does that make any fucking sense? This... Okay, no. This is unacceptable. If you already accept only 15%, how the fuck do you expect from people they control if the therapist is qualified themselves? This doesn't make sense. It just...
A clinical psychologist tried the platform as a client and had a strange experience with their therapist. Seemed ill at ease and unsure how to proceed, she made inappropriate self-disclosures about her own health problems. When I mentioned the problem with night eating, I saw a weird expression come across her face, and she mentioned that she struggled with the same problem. Without much assessment, she offered solutions that were absurd. She suggested I monitor the night eating and give yourself a star as a reward. He described that his second therapist threw out a bunch of tips from her therapy trick bag and hoped that some might stick. And while they seemed like plausible solutions, she didn't investigate my experience in detail enough to know if they could be appropriate. The structure and setup of the platform may make therapists jittery, pressing them into achieving quick results and using superficial interventions. Another user who tried the platform stated, "My therapist was great, but definitely was not 100% present. She seemed distracted." BetterHelp still seems to place an emphasis on quantity over quality.
Yeah.
This is bad, but
the thing is, I understand their viewpoint. I mean, for fuck's sake, it's not as if BetterHelp has... There are a lot of people that want the service. Let's just say it like that. And if you don't get the service, that reflects way worse on you than if you get a slightly worse one. That's the business side of it. I am not excusing it, I'm saying how I see it. And the thing is, it's still disgusting. Because I personally would go for quality, definitively quality. Because even if you go for quality, there still will be some bad apples. And by the way, you can just help. And BetterHelp just, by losing this many people, they just destroyed their image totally. And they won't reach the peak money making they could have had. Just won't happen again. They could have, right now, they could have way more. But no.
It's made even worse by how BetterHelp markets its service. In 2020, the journalism website Jezebel began investigating something unsettling. As it turned out, BetterHelp was taking users' extremely personal information and selling them to advertisers.
Yeah,
Jezebel stated that they began to silently slip data to dozens of third parties, monitoring our behavior online and signaling to companies like Facebook and Google and Snapchat and Pinterest that we were considering BetterHelp treatment. Facebook.
Yeah, and I mean, the data thing, your data is sold right now. If you give somebody the data, they will sell it. Because you just cannot control it. And if people actually gave a fuck about it, then nobody would ever give their data anywhere. But you see some free stuff and you give your data away. It's simple as that. Or that. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still disgusting behavior. But most people just don't give a fuck about it.
For instance, is alerted every time a person opens the app, essentially signaling to the social media company how often we were going to a session and when we booked our appointments. BetterHelp didn't even deny the allegations, as they didn't see the issue. They stated that their methods were standard and that they typically far exceed all applicable regulatory, ethical, and legal requirements. However, this didn't exactly comfort users. Word of these practices soon spread, and people were outraged. This was an immense breach of privacy. Many online platforms do sell user data, but this was different. Traditional therapy has something called a patient privilege. Information shared between a patient and their therapist is completely confidential because the details are extremely personal. Maybe it could be argued that app users' data is not technically covered by patient privilege, but it's definitely in gray area. I suppose BetterHelp forgot to mention this in their list of benefits over traditional practices. A storm was going around BetterHelp, and it was about to get worse. The US Federal Trade Commission took action against BetterHelp, and the list of accusations was damning. To capitalize on these consumers' health information, BetterHelp handed it over to numerous third-party advertising platforms, including Facebook, Pinterest, Snapchat, and Criteo, often permitting these companies to use the information for their own research and product development as well. BetterHelp also failed to provide consumers with proper notice as to the collection, use, and disclosure of their health information. The company didn't admit to any charges, but was ordered to pay $7.8 million in refunds to 800,000 patients, which equated to a pitiful $10 per person. Most importantly though, BetterHelp was forbidden from sharing consumers' personal information for retargeting, among many other restrictions. BetterHelp's reputation was ruined, and many YouTubers promoting them started receiving severe backlash. After this, BetterHelp went quiet, at least for a while.
BetterHelp.
BetterHelp. BetterHelp. BetterHelp. BetterHelp.
BetterHelp.
BetterHelp. BetterHelp. BetterHelp.
BetterHelp.
BetterHelp.
Therapy can be expensive, and the price of finding a therapist that you like and connect with can be overwhelming, which is why BetterHelp offers a more affordable alternative to in-person therapy.
But therapy can seem like this big, intimidating thing, right? Well, that's where BetterHelp comes in, because their goal is to make therapy less intimidating and more accessible.
They consistently position themselves as the cheaper, more accessible alternative to traditional practices. On their landing page, they list all kinds of benefits you get with BetterHelp, which you don't have at in-office practices. Benefits include messaging, texting, phone calls, video calls, worksheets, and much more. The problem with this is that most of this is complete nonsense. Most professional in-office therapists offer most of these benefits, but that doesn't stop BetterHelp from putting a big red cross in all of these. BetterHelp isn't a replacement for traditional therapy. In fact, they even say this themselves. Our services may not be appropriate for every particular situation and or a substitute for certain mental health needs that might require in-person therapy services. The terms also continue to say, do not disregard, avoid, or delay in obtaining in-person care from your doctor or other qualified professional because of information or advice you received through the platform. BetterHelp's therapists also cannot diagnose any conditions, even though many are qualified to do so. It's fine for BetterHelp to supplement other health services. It's also fine for BetterHelp to not diagnose patients, given that appointments are over call or text. But BetterHelp doesn't advertise themselves as an addition to existing therapy. Their marketing promotes them as the solution and replacement.
Yeah, and that's the scummy thing about it. Damn. I actually always like BetterHelp because, hey, sometimes you just don't need that much of help. You just need somebody to talk. If it's a professional therapist on the other side, that's fine, but damn, that's scummy. F me, that's scummy.
It leads people into using their service, even if it's not the best solution for them. But that's not even the end of it. If we look at the big picture, something else is going on at BetterHelp. BetterHelp is actually owned by another company, Teladoc, which hasn't been doing so hot. Their shares peaked in 2021 at $293, and today they are down over 97% to $8 a share, and their income is even worse. The company has burnt billions getting to where they are, and they still aren't profitable, having burnt $1 billion in the most recent 12-month period. We don't have BetterHelp specific financial data, but the data that we do have is already not in their favor. In Q3 of 2023, BetterHelp had 459,000 paying users. Next quarter, that dropped to 425,000, then down to 415,000.
Yeah, this doesn't say shit, to be honest. I mean, you can even see, I don't even know what point he actually makes here, because Q4, 351, Q1, 2022, 382, Q2, 22, 4, 7, and then it falls off, goes up and off. I mean, I think that's normal. That's not a, well, bad thing to do, to say. I mean, the fuck? It's... I don't understand this point. Nah.
Then down to 415,000.
There will be a fluctuation.
These numbers continue to drop in 2024, which illuminates what's actually happening with BetterHelp. Their recent surge in marketing isn't a triumphant, defiant return. It's a last attempt to survive. The controversies caused an exodus of users, and it seems that BetterHelp is struggling to hold on to the rest or replace the ones that are leaving. The company may have inflicted too much self-harm to bounce back.
Probably,
I know
yeah.
this video has largely been critical of BetterHelp.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. If this is true, if this is to some degree true, I'm calling the freaking people and saying, hey, did you maybe know this, and for myself, or maybe just... I'm gonna ask them, hey, is this true to this point? You know what? Give me an hour or two. What? I confirmed that shit. Yep. The things that were written down there is correct. It's bullshit. And yes, the people that I knew already quit BetterHelp, so... Damn. F me.
But BetterHelp is a great idea, just with poor execution. It solves a lot of problems and does fill a need, but the company has one massive issue: priorities. One doctor put this perfectly: BetterHelp has the wrong incentives in mind and is not run clearly by people who have expertise in mental health. It's really run by people who have expertise in scaling tech companies. There is a need for accessible, affordable support. But BetterHelp has their...
How the fuck? I don't know. How the fuck do companies actually still do this? How are you not realizing that you're not necessarily selling something, or the thing that you're selling, you actually need a professional to control it and say, okay, this is actually a good product, you can sell it like this, and then the people who can sell it. Just because you can sell something doesn't mean it's good, for fuck's sake.
Priorities all wrong. They don't focus on quality or providing the best care. They focus on scale and dominating the market. We can clearly see this in a recent comment from Teladoc CFO. BetterHelp right now still has room to grow on the direct-to-consumer side. We have scale. I would expect us to continue to grow and drive efficient returns and cash flows for that business. BetterHelp may very well have room to grow, but they've hurt their chances by damaging...
I mean, if you're on the bottom, you definitively have some room to grow, so... That's not really something special here. Now is it?
...their own brand. BetterHelp doesn't need to be bigger, it needs to be better. If you're interested in deeper dives, interviews with insiders, and exclusive tech analysis, you can sign up to our free weekly newsletter. Link is below. But until then, I'm Hari, and I'll see you guys.
Damn, good video. Thank you for that one. And acolytes, F me, like, I just don't know what to say here. It's just disgusting behavior. As it is, good night.